We have an upcoming bout July 24th between Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder. I want to go over a few things of psychological warfare taking place before the actual events happens. So you're looking right here at the tail of the tape between the two fighters, and the age difference is 3 years. Wilder's 35, and Tyson Fury's 32. Wilder has 44 fights, Fury 31, and so on. You can see the wins. Wilder, 42 wins, Tyson 30. Tyson has no losses, and Deontay has one, the loss to Tyson Fury. And these guys' heights, these guys are humongous, 6'7", 6'9". Tyson Fury holds an 85-inch reach, and Deontay Wilder's is 83. But before I get into the psychological parts of the boxing, I want to show you the new stadium that they'll be fighting in Las Vegas. I just thought this is such a beautiful place. It almost looks like something like a spaceship came down and landed. As you see it right here, the Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas, the new stadium seats 65,000 fans and people. It's built home for the Raiders also. But this is, and Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury will be the first fight held in this building, first gate this year. That's another look at it in Las Vegas, and you can see the buildings in the background just to give you the size of this stadium. I mean, if you've ever been to Vegas, you can see back here in the background of the MGM and the pyramids, the buildings. Right here, these buildings are humongous themselves, but this building kind of makes those buildings look small. So Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder. So the psychological warfare that has been going on between these two fighters has just been ongoing and continuing. And this is nothing new coming from a fighter, because boxers have massive egos, and you have to have a massive ego. And to be a boxer, you have to be kind of different. Champions don't get to the place of a championship without being different, without standing out from the norm. When I say the norm, just the everyday persons. Champions have a desire to go not even the extra mile, even a mile after that. So I wanted to ask boxing fans, as we know, Deontay Wilder is known for wearing his famous costumes into the fight. So should Deontay Wilder even come to the ring with a costume on for this third fight? So I would like to know your comments about that. So I gave that some thought. I thought that if that was an excuse, then maybe you don't need to wear the costume to the ring. Maybe you need to come in like Mike Tyson used to come in, with just a towel, sweating, and shoes and boxing trunks, ready to go. But I like the costumes from Deontay Wilder, but I'm just trying to put a viewpoint, a question out there of what does the boxing fan, what would you recommend as a boxing fan? And one more other point of the excuses that had arisen during after the second fight. Like, so Deontay Wilder, has been reports that he had a bicep injury in his right hand, so that nullified his strength coming from his right side. I just wanted to know, is there any proof of this? Is there any facts, or is this just merely an excuse? I mean, does anybody have any doctor reports? They say he has surgery on his bicep, but I know everyone's entitled to their own privacy, but I'm just going over the excuses so this don't happen in the third fight. So Deontay Wilder has had 17 months off out of the ring and to heal up. So does that work in Deontay Wilder's favor against Tyson Fury? And if Wilder was a one-arm fighter at that fight, then I had to take my hat off to Wilder for still fighting and going on. So we know he didn't quit himself, even though he was getting battered around the ring. And, you know, but he didn't quit himself. So I kind of take my hat off to Wilder about that. So he had to have a towel thrown in for him. So, but could that have saved Wilder from permanent damage down the road? So we don't know. And I would suggest Deontay Wilder make his own water. And, you know, don't drink no water from how he came. I'm not saying he came. It was reports that somebody put something in his water and all this stuff. So all these excuses. So we don't need to hear no more excuses in this fight. So your trainer, everybody's trainer is in the opposite room when the other fighter is getting gloved up. So that means that Sugar Hill would have been in Deontay's corner, and JD's with the opposite would have been in Tyson's room when their gloves are getting wrapped. So when it comes to the glove thing, I just blow that out the water, but there was a lot of talk about that. They had ex-boxers coming out trying to explain why this couldn't happen, but things have happened before. So that's what makes it, you can't just write it off. And one more thing I wanted to know is, I think Tyson Fury, speaking of Fury, has a very strong belief in himself. He seems to surround himself with positive people, but because Fury has been through a few things that, you know, he's come out and spoken about, like drug addictions, alcoholism, and psychology type of things, you know, mental things. So kudos to Tyson Fury for being able to come back from them things. So I think that makes him a strong person to be able to overcome those things. He had more than one obstacle in his way. Some people can't get over one obstacle. So not saying that Deontay Wilder is not deserving of any credit, but boxers the boxer has to be very mentally prepared for psychological warfare. When I say psychological warfare, so when Tyson Fury you hear Tyson Fury saying, even though he kind of says it jokingly, the things that he say, but he's mentally preparing himself for the battle ahead of him. That's just how he does it and his character. Like Tyson Fury will be like, you know, like Muhammad Ali was. Like Muhammad Ali would kind of laugh and joke about how he's gonna beat you up. And Deontay Wilder is just the opposite. So Deontay Wilder feels if he frowns at you and talks to you loud or something, you know, his bravado is over bravadoing your bravado, if that makes any sense. But it's a whole psychology to this boxing thing and preparing for this for boxing. So I just want to give you a overview of how going into fights and what we see in front of us, like the guys preparing. So just like Deontay Wilder winning, knocking out everybody along the way, and then all of a sudden he gets beat by Tyson Fury. So the people Deontay Wilder was around, Deontay Wilder, in his mind, he was on top of the world. He couldn't be beaten. You know, if you listen to him in interviews, he used to say that the other guy has to be perfect. He said all he needed was 2 seconds, you know, to land a punch. But as you can see, Deontay Wilder found out that it's not just about having one thing in your arsenal, the right hand. You know, you was gonna eventually run into someone that would annul that situation. You know, and that fighter was Tyson Fury. Luis Ortiz almost did it. You know, he almost knocked Deontay Wilder out in the first fight. So he kind of exposed some things about Deontay Wilder. Tyson Fury seems to have a very high boxing IQ, especially not for a heavyweight, but for a heavyweight, like his agility, the way he's able to move. So give me your thoughts on what you think the outcome of this fight would be, and the mental preparation. We are seeing the boxers bravado of Wilder out in the woods training with logs, and you know, Tyson Fury seems to be giving a party. So that's just what we see, but I'm quite sure Tyson Fury is somewhere training. So July is in a couple of months, so I guess we won't be hearing from these guys because they're gonna have to be stepping in the ring to face each other very soon. And I can't wait to see this one right here. It's part 3. So it's kind of sad that we couldn't see Tyson Fury versus Anthony Joshua, but as a boxing fan, I just really want to see a good fight. Anybody fight. I've learned to just study the craft of boxing, and I enjoy watching boxing. So leave me your thoughts and your comments of what you think about this video you just seen, and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, subscribe to my channel. And if you got a channel, I'll subscribe to you. All right, this is Boxing Opinions 100, and I'm out.